My ex-girlfriend sent me a video of her cheating for our anniversary, then told me, "How you feel, RN is how I felt when I saw you make eye contact with that barista." When I confronted her about it, she rolled her eyes and said, "You're not even defending yourself. Gosh, you're more pathetic than I remembered." I stayed silent. That was a year ago. This morning, she was sobbing in our apartment lobby while her parents dragged her away. My ex-girlfriend was the most loving woman I'd ever met. On our 3-year anniversary, she surprised me with a video of her getting railed by the 6'3" Mexican at our local gym. I stared at my screen in disbelief. "How you feel, RN is how I felt when I saw you making eye contact with the barista at our cafe," she said. So fast forward a year later when she asked to meet up, I said yes. She thought I wanted to get back together. Really, I just wanted to introduce her to her future brother-in-law. Melissa strutted into the Starbucks wearing a dress that was so small, it could have been mistaken for a dishcloth. "Oh wow, you actually came. I guess I shouldn't be surprised since you probably don't have anything else going on." She then threw her plastic-filled face back and cackled, "You're still wearing that ugly shut!" Her 2-inch acrylic nail pointed at me. "At least you're consistent, LOL. Anyway, enough about me, I wanted to clear the air." I nodded, thinking that her ego performance was finally over. "I wanted you to know that I'm sorry for everything that happened. I've done a lot of work on myself, and I hope you were able to move on." For a split second, I almost felt guilty for thinking such awful things about her, for being secretly engaged to her sister, until she whipped out her big black iPhone, that is, because that's when she started scrolling through her camera roll. "All of these men were part of my healing journey," she started. "This is Brad. He's an investment banker who taught me that men actually can find the love button." And I guess she mistook my morbid curiosity for admiration, because more men flashed across the screen. Tyler with his boat, Marcus with his Tesla, each one came with comments on their D size compared to mine. It was at that moment that I realized just how powerful the rose-tinted glasses effect really was. "Good for you," I said quietly. She leaned back, studying me like a predator sensing weakness. "AW, are you still hung up on me?" she exclaimed with full confidence. "Even my socially awkward sister managed to find someone." Her jaw clenched, mentioning Amelia. "Remember how clingy she used to be? She just expects her fake charm and looks to get her through life." The bitterness dripped from every word. Even now, Melissa couldn't mention Amelia without her insecurity showing. "Speaking of pathetic," she continued, "are you even trying to find someone? Or are you still hoping I'll take you back?" She pinched my bicep and spit out the water in her mouth. "Ah ha ha, you're still a scrawny beach. No wonder you're alone." I could have wiped the smirk off her face with just one sentence, but I chose to stay silent. Not because I didn't want to make her cry, I did, but because I knew Amelia would want me to be empathetic. She studied my reaction. "You're not even defending yourself. Gosh, you're more pathetic than I remembered. Did I break you that badly?" She laughed. "This is what Amelia will never understand. It's a dog-eat-dog world." Then she did something that crossed every line. She pulled out a small box from her purse, the watch I'd saved for months to buy her for our anniversary. "I've been meaning to return this." Or actually, she opened it and deliberately dropped the watch on the floor, grinding it under her heel. "Tyler bought me a Rolex," she continued, still grinding the watch. "A real man knows how to treat a woman. Even Amelia's loser boyfriend probably does better than this." She kicked the broken pieces toward me, beckoning for me to clean it up. Then her phone rang. Amelia's name flashed on the screen. Melissa's face twisted with annoyance. "Ugh, what does perfect Amelia want now?" She declined the call. Probably wants to brag about something. Her promotion, her boyfriend, her perfect fucking life. You know she announced she's in a relationship on Facebook? I wanted to bang my head against the table until my eardrums exploded, and I wouldn't have to listen to her anymore. But unfortunately, that wasn't an option. So instead, I just fiddled with my engagement ring and tried to zone out. Well, that's all it took for her to shut the F up, because her eyes widened at my ring. "You're engaged?" She laughed, but it sounded forced. "Who? You actually know her?" I interrupted. The color drained from her face. "Who? It's Amelia." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Her hands shook as she grabbed her phone, scrolling frantically through Amelia's Facebook. There it was, a photo Amelia had posted that morning. Her hand was wearing the engagement ring, caption reading, "Can't wait to marry my best friend." Other customers stared as she unraveled. "How long have you been effing my hoe sister?" As soon as I saw her hand reach for the glass of water to throw at me, I walked out. Good riddance. Unfortunately, Amelia is beautiful inside and out, so she insisted on inviting Melissa to our wedding. And it was there that I learned just how much of a psycho beach her sister really is. The wedding was supposed to be perfect. Amelia had spent months planning every detail, from the flower arrangements to the seating chart. She even insisted on giving Melissa a +1, hoping it might help mend things between us all. I should have known better. The ceremony itself went smoothly. Melissa sat in the back row, wearing sunglasses indoors and scrolling through her phone during our vows. At least she hadn't caused a scene yet. Everything changed at the reception. I was talking to Amelia's cousin when gasps erupted near the entrance. There stood Melissa in a white dress, identical to Amelia's wedding gown down to the lace detailing. She wobbled in, champagne glass already in hand, announcing loudly that she'd completely forgotten about the dress code. Amelia's face crumbled. Her mother rushed over, whispering frantically to Melissa, who just shrugged and headed for the bar. I found Amelia in the bathroom 5 minutes later, with Melissa cornering her by the sinks. Melissa's mascara was already running down her cheeks as she hissed at her sister. I heard her snarl something about Amelia stealing her leftovers before I stepped between them. Melissa stumbled backward, nearly dropping her drink. The toast disaster came next. Before the best man could even stand, Melissa had grabbed the microphone. She swayed slightly, tapping it twice before launching into what she called funny stories from our relationship. The room fell silent as she described in graphic detail various intimate moments and my supposed inadequacies. My uncle finally wrestled the microphone away mid-sentence, but the damage was done. During the coat check chaos later, Amelia's parents pulled me aside. Her mother's hands shook as she showed me her phone. Text after text from Melissa, all sent over the past few weeks, expressing concerns about our marriage, warnings about my character, claims that I was controlling, screenshots of old arguments Melissa and I had years ago. I excused myself to get some air. The parking lot was empty except for a few smokers near the entrance. Footsteps clicked behind me. Melissa followed, stumbling in her heels, wielding one like a weapon. She waved it at me, slurring accusations. The security cameras mounted on the light posts blinked steadily, recording everything. The next morning's brunch should have been peaceful. Amelia and I arrived at the restaurant exhausted, but trying to salvage something positive. Melissa walked in 20 minutes later with Tyler, some guy she'd apparently been seeing. They sat at the adjacent table, and she proceeded to discuss their SX life at volume, making sure we could hear every detail. Our honeymoon flight was that afternoon. At the airport, we were checking our bags when Melissa appeared again. She bumped into Amelia, sending coffee splashing across her carry-on. Tyler stood behind her, looking deeply uncomfortable as Melissa laughed about the accident. We thought distance would help. The honeymoon gave us 2 weeks of peace. But when we returned home, our elderly neighbor mentioned seeing Melissa's car parked outside at 3 a.m. multiple nights. She'd taken photos because it worried her. The mailbox incident happened our 3rd day back. I went to grab the mail and found it stuffed with printed screenshots. Every text message Melissa and I had ever exchanged during our relationship. Hundreds of pages, some highlighted, some with angry notes scrawled in the margins. Amelia discovered the email harassment when she returned to work work. Her inbox contained dozens of anonymous messages warning her about her new husband. Details only Melissa would know. Stories twisted to paint me as a monster. Her co-workers had received similar emails. The doorbell footage was what really shook us. Our new Ring camera had captured Melissa at 2 a.m., trying different keys in our front door. She was completely sober, methodical. She tried each key carefully before moving to the next. When none worked, she stood there for 5 minutes, just staring at our door. Tyler's text came through the next evening. Short and direct. He was done with her. She was losing it. We should watch our backs. I saved the message. Grocery shopping became a nightmare. Every aisle we entered, Melissa appeared moments later. She photographed our cart contents with her phone, pretending to text. When we switched stores, she showed up there too. My boss called me into his office on a Tuesday. Someone claiming to be my wife had been calling, expressing concerns about my mental state. The caller ID had been spoofed to show Amelia's number. He knew it wasn't really her, but wanted me to be aware. Amelia's book club met monthly at rotating houses. Melissa joined the week after we returned from our honeymoon. She spent the entire meeting discussing her ex, who'd betrayed her with her own sister. The other members sat in uncomfortable silence. We started couples therapy to deal with the stress. Melissa had somehow booked the appointment slot immediately after hours with the same therapist. We ran into her in the waiting room, where she made a show of surprise. Sarah, Amelia's best friend since college, called crying one evening. Melissa had been messaging her for weeks about my supposed abusive patterns. Sarah had saved all the screenshots, disturbed by the obsessive nature of the messages. Thursday night basketball league was my one escape, until Melissa started showing up to watch. Then she began dating Mike from my team. She'd clearly stalked our game schedule to find him. The anniversary dinner ambush was calculated. Amelia's parents were celebrating their 30th anniversary at their favorite restaurant. Melissa arrived as Mike's +1, wearing a white dress identical to what Amelia wore at our reception. The same dress she'd worn to our wedding, apparently purchased in duplicate. I started checking for her car everywhere. During my lunch break, I spotted it parked across from our building. She sat inside, photographing our home from multiple angles. I documented it with my own phone. Amelia's LinkedIn became another battlefield. Connection requests flooded in from Melissa's friends, all with messages about Amelia's situation. Concerned messages, warnings, invasive questions about our marriage. Sarah called again, this time crying harder. Melissa had convinced her that Amelia had betrayed girl code by dating her sister's ex. The manipulation was working on some level, even though Sarah knew better. Mike pulled me aside after basketball one night. Melissa had told him I was stalking her, but her stories kept changing. One version had me following her to work, another had me hacking her phone. He was starting to see through the lies. The painting class had been Amelia's sanctuary. She'd taken it for years, finding peace in the weekly sessions. I can feel the weight of this constant harassment crushing them, and it's making my chest tight just hearing about it. Poor Amelia can't even enjoy her painting class anymore, the one place that was supposed to be her peaceful escape from all this chaos. The way Melissa is invading every single part of their lives, from their therapy sessions to their grocery shopping shows, such a deep level of pain that she's carrying. Melissa enrolled and partnered with her for every exercise, making snide comments about Amelia's technique, her color choices, her subject matter. The pharmacy called about a suspicious incident. A woman had tried picking up our prescriptions with written authorization. The pharmacist had refused, sensing something wrong. The woman matched Melissa's description perfectly. Each incident built on the last. Each violation pushed boundaries further. We documented everything, unsure what else to do. The wedding disruption had been just the beginning. Melissa's campaign was escalating, calculated and relentless. We changed our locks. We installed more cameras. We varied our routines. But she always found ways to insert herself into our lives. The harassment was wearing us down, exactly as she intended. Looking back, the warning signs had been there. Her reaction at the Starbucks should have prepared us, but nothing could have prepared us for the systematic campaign she would wage. The wedding was just her opening move. The Instagram account appeared 3 days after I documented Melissa photographing our home. Truth About Cheaters featured heavily edited photos of me from various angles, all taken without my knowledge. The follower count climbed rapidly, though most profiles looked suspiciously generic. Amelia discovered it when a coworker showed her during lunch break. Saturday morning at the farmer's market turned into another ambush. While Amelia examined tomatoes, Melissa materialized at the adjacent vendor stall. She launched into a loud story about her ex who'd cheated with her own sister, gesturing dramatically while other shoppers turned to stare. The vendor looked uncomfortable as Melissa's voice carried across the market. I was pumping gas the following Tuesday when someone tapped my shoulder. Jake, the trainer from our old gym, stood there looking troubled. He glanced around nervously before explaining that Melissa had filmed their training sessions without his knowledge. She'd shown him the videos recently, demonstrating how easily she could destroy his reputation if he didn't cooperate with her plans. The pattern of blackmail became clear. Amelia's mother called that evening in tears. Melissa had sent her what she claimed was proof of my infidelity. Photos from my bachelor party taken completely out of context. The images showed me talking to a waitress, cropped to look intimate. Melissa had added timestamps and locations that made innocent interactions appear damning. Wednesday morning brought a new violation. Both our cars sat in the parking garage with cheater and were keyed deeply into the paint. The security footage showed a figure in dark clothing, face obscured by a hood. We filed a police report, but the officer explained that without clear identification, it was just vandalism. The building security guard pulled us aside later that week. He showed us the incident log, multiple attempts to access our floor using various excuses. Building management had finally posted Melissa's photo at all entrances with instructions to deny entry. They were taking it seriously now. Melissa's next move targeted Amelia's workplace directly. She'd started a volunteer shift at the hospital, telling co-workers she needed to watch over her sister. Amelia discovered this when Melissa appeared in the cafeteria during her lunch break, sitting at a nearby table and staring. An unexpected ally emerged through social media. Emma, a friend from high school, reached out after seeing the Instagram account. She revealed that Melissa had done this to her boyfriend years ago. The harassment had lasted 2 years before they finally got a restraining order. The pattern was established. Mike broke things off with Melissa after she demanded he quit the basketball league to avoid me. He'd witnessed her controlling behavior escalate rapidly. She'd gone through his phone, questioned every interaction, and made increasingly unreasonable demands. Her mask was slipping. The maintenance visit caught us off guard. Melissa arrived at our apartment with building maintenance, claiming she'd left jewelry during a visit months ago. The maintenance worker looked apologetic as she searched through drawers, clearly lying about lost items. We watched helplessly as she invaded our space legally. Sarah came to our apartment with a laptop and a shaking voice. She apologized profusely while showing us screenshots. Melissa had been sending her daily rants since our engagement announcement. The messages revealed an obsession that had been building for months, maybe years. Each message was more unhinged than the last. The warning came from an unexpected source. Becca, Melissa's roommate, contacted us through a mutual friend. She met us at a coffee shop across town, constantly checking over her shoulder. She described Melissa's room, walls covered with our wedding photos, my face scratched out in every image. She offered to take pictures as evidence. Our next encounter happened at a wine bar where Amelia and I were trying to have a normal evening. Melissa walked in with a new date, a lawyer who made pointed comments about defamation cases within earshot. They sat where we couldn't avoid seeing them, Melissa smirking throughout their meal. My mother called the next morning, confused and worried. Melissa had contacted her, crying about still loving me. She'd spun elaborate tales about our relationship, claiming I'd promised to come back to her. My mother hadn't known what to believe until I explained the situation. The photos from Becca arrived encrypted. Melissa's room looked like a crime scene from a thriller. Wedding photos covered every surface, annotated with dates and rambling notes. The timeline showed her obsession had started long before our wedding. Some photos dated back to when Melissa and I were still together. Building management agreed to formally ban Melissa after reviewing our compiled security footage. The property manager seemed shocked by the extent of documentation we'd gathered. Official trespass warnings were issued, though we knew paper wouldn't stop her. Emma met us for coffee to share her full story. Melissa's harassment campaign against her had included fake social media profiles, workplace infiltration, and constant surveillance. It had only ended when Melissa found a new target. Emma's boyfriend had transferred schools to escape. The pattern went back a decade. Sarah organized a group chat she called Team Amelia after consulting with a lawyer friend. The attorney explained that restraining orders required evidence of physical threats. Documentation would be crucial. Everyone started saving everything. Texts, emails, photos, videos. Tyler reached out with disturbing news. While moving out, he'd found an old phone hidden in Melissa's closet. It contained videos of her practicing arguments with an imaginary version of me. Hours of footage showed her rehearsing confrontations, planning scenarios, working herself into rages over invented slights. We focused on security rather than retaliation. New locks, additional cameras, varied routines. We documented everything but didn't engage. The high road felt difficult but necessary. Amelia insisted we maintain our integrity despite the provocations. The Whole Foods confrontation was inevitable. Melissa appeared in the produce section, following us aisle by aisle. When an employee asked if there was a problem, Melissa's composure cracked. She accidentally admitted to keying our cars while ranting about justice. The employee's eyes widened. Jake provided security footage from the gym, showing Melissa watching our workouts, filming with her phone. The timestamps revealed she'd been documenting our routines for months before the cheating video. Everything had been calculated, planned, orchestrated. An unexpected alliance formed between Mike, Tyler, and Jake. They met regularly to compare notes about Melissa's behavior patterns. Each had stories of manipulation, threats, and escalating demands. They started warning other men who showed interest in her. Melissa's mother finally reached out to Amelia. Her voice was tired, defeated. This wasn't the first time. There had been incidents in high school, in college. They'd hoped she'd grown out of it. The family pattern of enabling became clear. My workplace increased security after Melissa was caught trying to enter with a fake ID. She'd claimed to be delivering important documents. Security footage showed her attempting multiple entrances over several days. HR took the threat seriously. The parking garage confrontation happened on a Thursday evening. Melissa cornered Amelia alone, admitting she'd practiced the wedding crash for weeks. She'd bought multiple white dresses, rehearsed her entrance, planned every detail. The confession was chilling in its calculated nature. Amelia's hospital colleagues created an informal watch system. Melissa's photo was distributed to security and staff. Her volunteer application was revoked. The hospital administration banned her from the premises after multiple incidents. The Instagram account disappeared overnight after mass reporting from our support network. Melissa's digital harassment platform crumbled, but we knew she'd create another. The temporary victory felt hollow. Emma revealed more history. Melissa's college ex-boyfriend had transferred schools to escape her. She'd infiltrated his friend groups, spread rumors, made his life unbearable. The pattern stretched back over a decade. We weren't special. We were just the current targets. We installed a comprehensive security system while helping our neighbors understand the situation. Most were supportive, having witnessed strange incidents themselves. Community awareness became another layer of protection. The book club collectively disinvited Melissa after she brought printed copies of anonymous emails to a meeting. She'd tried to turn the group against Amelia with manufactured evidence. The members saw through it, closing ranks around Amelia instead. Melissa's attempts to infiltrate the hospital continued despite the ban. Security reported multiple incidents of her trying to access employee areas. She claimed to be visiting sick relatives, delivering flowers, even applying for different positions. The restaurant meltdown happened during Amelia's parents' monthly dinner. They'd chosen a place across town to avoid Melissa, but she appeared anyway. Her reaction to seeing them dining with us was explosive. Other patrons stared as she screamed about betrayal. Her father finally saw the truth. My reputation at work strengthened as colleagues witnessed Melissa's harassment firsthand. Her calls and visits had the opposite effect she'd intended. People rallied around me, offering support and understanding. A tech-savvy friend traced the anonymous emails to Melissa's IP address. The digital trail was clear. Hundreds of messages sent from her devices. We added it to our growing evidence file. The eviction notice arrived at Melissa's apartment after multiple neighbor complaints. She had 30 days to vacate. The property management company had received reports of late-night disturbances, strange visitors, and aggressive behavior. The countdown began. Amelia's painting instructor revoked Melissa's enrollment after she verbally attacked Amelia during a session. The entire class had witnessed Melissa criticizing every brushstroke, every color choice. The instructor's patience finally snapped. We realized defensive measures weren't enough. The harassment was escalating despite our precautions. We needed to take definitive action. The evidence file had grown thick enough to paper a wall. Our response strategy shifted. Instead of reacting emotionally, we documented calmly. Every provocation met with quiet recording. Every escalation added to the file. I can feel how exhausting this must be for everyone involved, especially seeing how deep this pattern goes with Melissa's past victims coming forward. I don't know how this story will end. Melissa's frustration grew visible as her tactics failed to generate the explosive responses she craved. The extended family group chat voted unanimously to exclude Melissa from all future events. Cousins shared their own uncomfortable encounters. Aunts and uncles admitted to avoiding family gatherings because of her behavior. The family fracture was complete. Truth about the wedding dress stunt spread through social circles. Friends were appalled by the calculated cruelty. Melissa's social isolation deepened as people learned the full story. Even casual acquaintances began avoiding her. A week of peace felt surreal. Melissa scrambled to find new housing while we maintained our routines. The security cameras showed normal footage. Neighbors walking dogs, delivery drivers dropping packages. The calm felt ominous. Melissa's desperate play came through Amelia's work phone. She claimed to have taken pills, needed immediate help. Background noise revealed party sounds, laughter, music. The manipulation was transparent. Amelia called 911 anyway, letting professionals handle it. Hospital security increased after catching Melissa trying to access employee parking. She'd been testing different entry points, looking for vulnerabilities. The security team took the threat seriously, adjusting protocols. The moving truck at Melissa's apartment building sparked premature celebration. Neighbors reported seeing boxes loaded, furniture removed. The destination remained unknown. We watched from a distance, hoping for closure. Family relationships began healing as everyone acknowledged the manipulation they'd endured. Amelia's parents apologized for not seeing it sooner. Cousins reached out with support. The family united united against the common threat. Melissa's exes formed an unexpected support group. More victims came forward with similar stories. The pattern was undeniable. Years of targets, escalating harassment, destroyed relationships. We weren't alone in this nightmare. Our comprehensive police report finally received serious attention. A detective reviewed the evidence file, impressed by the thorough documentation. Previous reports from other victims added weight. The pattern was too clear to ignore. The breakthrough came from Melissa's former therapist. Contacted by her concerned mother, they confirmed the pattern of behavior within legal limits. Professional validation of what we'd been experiencing felt like vindication. More truth emerged when Melissa's college roommate reached out. She filed a restraining order sophomore year after escalating harassment. The documentation from that case mirrored our experience perfectly. The pattern was pathological. Our support network compiled a comprehensive documentation package. Every incident, every witness, every piece of evidence organized chronologically. The file was undeniable proof of systematic harassment. Legal options became clearer. A lawyer friend helped draft a cease and desist letter with the evidence attached. The legal language was firm but fair. We offered a choice: stop the harassment voluntarily or face legal consequences. The ball was in Melissa's court. Melissa's parents attempted an intervention at a neutral location. We heard later that she'd stormed out, refusing to acknowledge any wrongdoing. Her parents looked defeated, realizing their daughter needed more help than they could provide. The fake pregnancy announcement hit social media with calculated timing. Melissa claimed I was the father, despite the impossible timeline. The lie was transparent to anyone who knew the facts, but damage control was still necessary. We faced social media backlash as Melissa's story spread. Some mutual acquaintances wondered if there was another side. The gaslighting partially worked on people who didn't know the full history. Truth became a casualty. I defended our story alone when Amelia was called in for emergency surgery. A real medical crisis, not Melissa's fake one. The timing felt orchestrated, but it was just coincidence. Trust between us held firm despite the test. The decision to go fully public wasn't easy. We'd protected Melissa's reputation despite everything, hoping she'd get help. But the fake pregnancy lie crossed a final line. The truth needed to be told. Our social media post included a timeline and key evidence. No editorializing, just facts. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The community had been waiting for someone to speak up. Others shared their own Melissa stories. The apartment building lobby became the stage for final confrontation. Melissa arrived with a moving truck and her parents. She oscillated between tearful apologies and venomous accusations. Her emotional instability was visible to everyone present. Her father's revelation explained so much. Melissa had been off her medication for months. The escalation timeline matched perfectly. Mental health issues didn't excuse the behavior, but they provided context. The building manager appeared with security and formal trespass papers. Legal backing made the ban enforceable. Melissa couldn't claim ignorance or accident anymore. The boundaries were crystal clear. We faced a choice: press charges or let her family handle it. The evidence file could support criminal charges, but Amelia's compassion won. We offered an alternative: no charges if Melissa got treatment. Mercy felt harder than revenge. Melissa's parents presented their ultimatum: inpatient treatment or complete cutoff from family support. Rock bottom had finally arrived. The choice was hers, but the consequences were real either way. Her final manipulation attempt was threatening self-harm in the lobby. We immediately called 911. Professional intervention was the only appropriate response. Her parents looked relieved as uniformed responders arrived. The scene in the lobby was heartbreaking. Melissa's parents physically guided her to their car as she screamed about betrayal and abandonment. Other residents watched from their doorways. The chapter was closing. From our window, we watched Melissa being driven away. Her parents had mentioned a treatment facility 2 hours away, specialized care for her specific issues. The physical distance felt like breathing room. 2 weeks passed before Melissa's mother called with an update. Treatment was progressing. Medication compliance was monitored. Therapy was intensive. The report was cautiously optimistic. Healing might be possible. We began removing security cameras from inside our apartment. The outdoor ones stayed, but the invasion of our private space could end. The hypervigilance was exhausting. Normal life beckoned. Our support group celebrated at the restaurant where everything began. The Starbucks where I'd revealed our engagement was visible through the window. Sarah raised a toast to choosing love over fear. The circle of friends had grown stronger through the trial. Tyler attended with Emma, his new girlfriend. They bonded over shared Melissa experiences. Something positive had grown from the chaos. Mike was there too, grateful for the brotherhood that had formed. Amelia placed her hand on her stomach with a secret smile. The stress hadn't prevented new beginnings. We were ready to build our future without fear. Melissa's campaign had failed to destroy what mattered most. The college roommate's restraining order documentation arrived by courier the next morning. Victoria, who'd lived with Melissa sophomore year, had kept meticulous records, police reports, campus security logs, witness statements, all painting the same disturbing pattern from over a decade ago. The parallels to our situation were undeniable. Our support network assembled the evidence package in Sarah's living room that afternoon. Boxes of printed emails, USB drives with security footage, sworn statements from witnesses. The lawyer friend organized everything chronologically, while others cross-referenced incidents. The systematic nature of Melissa's harassment became impossible to deny when laid out sequentially. The cease and desist letter went out via certified mail. We tracked the delivery confirmation obsessively. Melissa signed for it at her temporary housing address. The legal language was clear: stop all contact immediately or face criminal charges. The evidence appendix alone was 40 pages. Her parents arranged the intervention at a community center downtown. We weren't invited, but heard details later from Amelia's mother. Melissa had arrived expecting a family meeting about her housing situation. Instead, she found her parents, 2 aunts, and a crisis counselor waiting. The confrontation lasted less than 20 minutes before she stormed out. The fake pregnancy announcement appeared on 3 different social media platforms simultaneously. Melissa had created elaborate timelines, doctored ultrasound images, even fabricated medical appointment confirmations. The dates made conception impossible. We'd been on different continents during the supposed window. Still, some mutual acquaintances bought the story initially. I spent hours crafting responses to confused friends while Amelia underwent emergency gallbladder surgery. The timing felt deliberately cruel, though it was pure coincidence. Hospital waiting rooms became my temporary office as I fielded messages and calls. The fake pregnancy story spread faster than facts could counter it. Sarah coordinated the truth campaign from her apartment. She created a shared document with verifiable facts, dates, and evidence links. Team Amelia members shared it strategically, countering Melissa's lies with documented reality. The social media battle played out in real time across multiple platforms. Some mutual friends wavered, wondering about both sides of the story. The gaslighting partially succeeded with people who only knew us peripherally. A few unfriended us, choosing to believe Melissa's victim narrative. Others saw through the manipulation immediately, especially those who'd witnessed her behavior firsthand. The comprehensive evidence post went live while Amelia recovered from surgery. We debated the ethics of public exposure for weeks. The fake pregnancy lie forced our hand. The post included timeline screenshots, security footage stills, and witness statements. No editorial editorializing, just facts presented clearly. Community response was immediate and overwhelming. Comments poured in from others who'd experienced Melissa's harassment, former co-workers, college classmates, even someone from her high school. The pattern stretched back further than we'd imagined. Each story added weight to the documented history. Melissa arrived at our apartment building the next evening with a moving truck and her parents. The lobby security cameras captured everything. She alternated between sobbing apologies and screaming accusations. Her emotional swings were violent, unpredictable. Other residents gathered in the lobby, drawn by the commotion. Her father's admission cut through her performance. She'd been off her prescribed medication for 4 months. The timeline matched her escalation perfectly. He looked exhausted, defeated. Her mother stood silent, tears streaming. They'd been enablers for years, hoping love could fix what required professional intervention. The building manager emerged from his office with security guards and formal paperwork. The trespass notice had legal weight now. Melissa's name was officially banned from the property. Any future violation would result in immediate arrest. The boundaries were finally enforceable. I watched Melissa process the reality. Her parents flanking her, security watching, neighbors witnessing. The elaborate fantasy she'd constructed was crumbling publicly. Her face cycled through emotions: rage, despair, confusion, brief moments of clarity followed by renewed anger. We faced the choice we'd discussed extensively. The evidence could support multiple criminal charges: harassment, stalking, vandalism, fraud. The detective had made that clear. Prosecution was viable, but Amelia's compassion guided our decision. We offered an alternative through her parents. The terms were simple: no criminal charges if Melissa entered inpatient treatment immediately, full psychiatric evaluation, medication compliance, minimum 90-day program. Her parents would handle logistics and costs. Any contact with us would void the agreement and trigger immediate legal action. Melissa's parents presented the ultimatum in the lobby. Their daughter could choose treatment or face complete withdrawal of family support and likely criminal prosecution. The choice was hers, but consequences were guaranteed either way. Rock bottom had arrived in full view of witnesses. Her final manipulation attempt was threatening self-harm. She grabbed a pen from the security desk, held it to her wrist. The performance was transparent, but required response. I dialed 911 while her parents stepped back. Professional intervention was the only appropriate action. Everyone in the lobby understood the calculated nature of the threat. The emergency responders arrived within minutes. 2 paramedics and a crisis counselor entered the lobby calmly. They'd seen this scenario before. Melissa's threats escalated as they approached. Her parents provided medical history and current medication information. The scene was heartbreaking despite everything. Her parents physically guided her toward the ambulance as she screamed about betrayal and abandonment. She accused everyone: me, Amelia, her parents, the building staff. The accusations grew wilder, less coherent. Other residents watched from doorways, finally understanding the full scope of what we'd endured. The ambulance doors closed on Melissa's continued screaming. Her parents followed in their car. The treatment facility was 2 hours away, specializing in personality disorders and obsessive behaviors. The physical distance felt like the first real breathing room in months. The lobby emptied slowly. Neighbors approached with words of support. Several apologized for not taking our concerns seriously earlier. The building manager assured us that security protocols would be enhanced. The community had witnessed the truth firsthand. 2 weeks of silence followed. No texts, no emails, no surprise appearances. The security cameras showed only normal activity. We maintained vigilance but began to relax incrementally. Amelia returned to work after recovering from surgery. Routines slowly normalized. Melissa's mother called with an update on day 15. Treatment was progressing. Medication compliance was monitored. Intensive therapy sessions were mandatory. Melissa had experienced what doctors called a moment of clarity about her behavior. The report was cautiously optimistic. We started removing the interior security cameras. The hypervigilance had been exhausting. Outdoor cameras remained, but our private space could be private again. Each small step toward normalcy felt monumental. The apartment became a home again, not a fortress. The support group gathered at the restaurant where our story began. The Starbucks where I'd revealed our engagement was visible through the window. Sarah organized the celebration, insisting we acknowledge our survival. The group had grown beyond original members, including some of Melissa's other victims. Tyler arrived with Emma. Their relationship had grown from shared trauma into something genuine. Mike brought his new girlfriend, warning her jokingly about his questionable judgment in exes. Jake came alone, but seemed at peace. The brotherhood forged through crisis had evolved into real friendship. Stories were shared around the table. Each person had been touched by Melissa's manipulation differently. The patterns were consistent: love bombing, control escalation, explosive endings. Everyone had documentation, had felt crazy, had questioned their own perceptions. The validation of shared experience was powerful. Emma revealed that Melissa's college ex had reached out after seeing our social media post. He'd transferred schools to escape her a decade ago. He wanted us to know we weren't alone, that survival was possible. His message was brief but meaningful. Life could be normal again. The conversation turned to healing, moving forward. Everyone had developed different coping mechanisms. Some had sought therapy. Others found strength in documentation and preparation. The shared understanding that Melissa's behavior wasn't personal, that we were simply current targets in a long pattern, helped tremendously. Sarah proposed a toast to choosing love over fear. Glasses raised around the table. We'd all been tested, had faced someone determined to destroy happiness, but connections had grown stronger through the trial. Melissa's campaign had failed in its ultimate goal: isolation and destruction. Amelia placed her hand on her stomach with a knowing smile. The stress of recent months hadn't prevented new beginnings. We were 12 weeks along, cautiously optimistic. The timing wasn't ideal, but life rarely waited for perfect moments. Our friends' excitement was genuine, supportive. The evening wound down with promises to maintain connections. The crisis had passed, but friendships would continue. Plans were made for normal gatherings, barbecues, game nights, celebrations without underlying tension. The future finally felt possible again. 6 months later, our new home's backyard hosted the promised barbecue. The house represented fresh starts, boundaries, peace. Friends arrived throughout the afternoon. Sarah with her new boyfriend, Tyler and Emma engaged now, Mike with his growing family. The gathering was wonderfully ordinary. Melissa's parents called occasionally with updates. She'd completed the initial program and transitioned to outpatient care. Medication compliance continued. They'd helped her relocate to another state for truly fresh beginnings. The distance was permanent, necessary for everyone's healing. Amelia's belly showed prominently as she moved between guests. The pregnancy had progressed smoothly despite the early stress. We'd chosen not to find out the gender, wanting some surprises to be positive. The nursery was ready, painted in calm neutrals. Sarah led an impromptu toast as sunset approached. She spoke about resilience, about choosing love over fear, about the family we'd built through shared trials. Tyler manned the grill while Emma helped Amelia with side dishes. Mike's kids played in the yard, normal life in all its beautiful simplicity. Melissa's parents joined by video call briefly. They wanted to share her graduation from the treatment program. She appeared on screen for moments, calmer, medicated properly, apologetic in a way that seemed genuine. The woman she might have been all along if mental health had been addressed earlier. The call ended with mutual wishes for continued healing. No promise promises of reconciliation, no forced forgiveness, just acknowledgement of progress and maintained boundaries. Her parents understood. They'd learned hard lessons about enabling versus helping. As darkness fell, our guests lingered. The conversation had long moved past Melissa, past trauma. Plans were made for baby showers, holiday gatherings, normal life events. The chapter had closed naturally, without dramatic endings or perfect resolutions. I stood with Amelia as friends departed, our hands linked over her belly, feeling occasional kicks. The journey from that Starbucks confrontation to this moment felt impossibly long and surprisingly short. We'd survived something designed to destroy us. The security cameras remained but rarely checked now. The evidence files were archived but not reviewed. Hypervigilance had faded into reasonable caution. Life had found new rhythms, ones not dictated by fear or constant monitoring. Our chosen family had emerged stronger from the trial by fire, not bound by blood, but by the shared experience of standing together against someone's campaign of destruction. The connections forged in crisis had evolved into genuine friendships, built on understanding and mutual support. Melissa's attempted destruction had failed completely. Instead of isolation, we'd found community. Instead of fear, we'd chosen love. Instead of silence, we'd spoken truth. The multiplication effect of support when good people refused to stand aside had proven more powerful than one person's obsessive hatred. The future stretched ahead, uncertain, but no longer threatening. A child would soon join our carefully built world of chosen family and hard-won peace. The foundation was solid, built on truth, and defended by those who'd refused to let manipulation win. I hope you have a wonderful day filled with the same kind of love and support these characters found. I'll see you in the next story we read together.